Today's episode of The Jai Dave Show is brought to you by the Life Force Academy, the ultimate home Kundalini yoga experience. Whether you're brand new and have never tried Kundalini yoga, or you're a longtime practitioner, the Life Force Academy is a really cool experience. Kundalini yoga is just a phenomenal technology for anyone who wants to live with a good, healthy body, clear mind, open heart, real sense of purpose. It doesn't matter how flexible you are, or how strong you are, or what age you are, or what religion you are. None of that matters. If you can breathe, it'll work for you. You use your body, use your mind, and use your breath to change your life force condition so that you can feel happier, so that you can live more comfortably, so that you can feel a sense of purpose in your life. Really powerful stuff. Check it out. Go to lifeforce.yoga. You'll start a 14-day trial for just $1 as a listener of this podcast. If you go to lifeforce.yoga, you'll be able to begin a 14-day trial of the Life Force Academy for just $1. Lifeforce.yoga, just type that into your browser to begin your 14-day trial of the Life Force Academy. And now for part 2 of my conversation with Cactus Secret Agent 23, Skidoo. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. So this is part 2 of the episode, or of the conversation with Cactus, Secret Agent 23, Skidoo. If you have not listened to part 1 yet, you need to go back and start at part 1, because this is midway through our conversation. We had such a good time, such a funny and fun and interesting conversation together. It goes really deep, but really lighthearted. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, start there and then come back here to part 2. If you already listened to part 1, well, you know what it is. You're in the right place. And now back to the conversation with Cactus, the king of Kid Hop, Secret Agent 23, Skidoo. And so, were you doing solo stuff? At what point did you start doing some of that?
I started doing solo stuff right when my daughter was born. Because
for some reason, I kind of knew about you out of that whole band. I don't know any of the other people in that band.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know why. I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I got memories. I was pretty young at that point. Mm-hmm. And I would be up in Asheville. I was at one time at that Harmonic Conversions.
Mm-hmm. That was a good one. It was 2,000 person crowd, yeah.
Burning Spear? Was that the? Yeah, Burning Spear was there.
That was a fun one.
Amazing. In Sector 9.
Mm-hmm.
And so were you up on did you collaborate with those guys? Yeah. And I remember you, because they were pretty big at that, even at that time. Big. They're still, and I hadn't seen them in a long time, but I used to love.
They used to come and open up for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were more jazz band, kind of like funk, psychedelic,
yeah,
jazzy.
And then they got into what they do now more and all. But we collaborated with them for a number of years. We would get up and freestyle with their stuff.
Right, because this is post. I've already seen the roots. I'm more of a devotee of hip hop.
Yeah.
So I'm always scouting, and it was hard to find. For me, hard to find MCs that I'm that
you were feeling.
Both the combination of lyrical skills, sophisticated, as well as they're talking about what I'm also.
It's hard to find both.
Yeah, it's hard to find both, and we can probably, that's why it's we got our handful of MCs that are kind of in that space still. The Most Def, the Q-Tip, the
Gab.
Gift of Gab, who's one of my favorite songs out of all your albums. Is that
that was an honor. I think that when you look at the kind of Vesica Pisces of battle rappers, and then what would be legitimately called positive conscious rappers, you don't get better than him.
Gift
he
of Gab
owns that space.
Oh yeah.
Because he could battle anybody. But he also is the one that's talking about making positive life changes, talking about some of the more esoteric, belief systems and all that, and doing it in a way that he's not trying to exploit it. He actually understands that stuff. And the funny thing is, he's basically blind. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, people have to kind of help him to the stage and
really?
Stuff. And it's funny because with the whole mythical view, I'm he's the blind oracle. You know what I mean?
He is that. He is Yeah, as far as depth.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So for people who don't know who we're talking about, this is his name, MC name, Gift of Gab.
From Blackalicious.
From Blackalicious. Yeah. And he's on one of the tracks on Cactus's 23 Skidoo's Underground Playground album. What's that song? Speak the Truth. Can we play it?
Yeah, play it.
Yeah, let's play it. Your first verse, right?
Yeah.
First and third verse?
First and third.
Gift of Gab in the middle.
Speak the truth. Come on. Speak the truth. Yo, it's 23 Skidoo. I'm always real with you because I speak the truth, and you can feel it too. Cause the truth is strong. You can hear it every time you listen to this song. I seen liars try to prove that wrong, but with their pants on fire, man, they don't last long. They burn it up. I'm turning up the music, telling y'all the truth is trust. Thus, what you give is what you get. I like having friends that don't lie to me, and if I ever try, they can see right through me. So I don't spend my time hiding out, hoping that they don't find out what I lied about. When I speak, they trust what they heard. That's good, cause in life, you just have your word. Word, speak honest, always keep a promise, and your life will be so good, you'll be astonished. Come on, speak the truth. Truth. Come on, speak the truth. Come on, speak the truth. Come on, speak the truth. I was advised by an old wise soul. Every time you tell one lie, some more lies grow. Over those lies, some more lies that grow fivefold. Then you cannot look directly in no eyes no more. Get so low, you gotta go and hide froze. In a panic, frantic, afraid to fully be exposed. Now you're walking on glass, on your toes, where'd you go? Truth is that everyone around you probably really knows. Truth is the truth will set you free, won't have to speak in codes. When your words are true and honest, you feel so alive. Grow, be a person of integrity, cause only God knows who you are. He created you, so shine your light glow. Cause the truth is only love, a lie is only fear. I would rather live in light than be hiding in the rear. Feeling great about the gal of the guy in the mirror. See the moment that you speak the truth, the lies disappear. Speak the truth. Come on.
He destroyed it, man.
Speak the truth.
Yeah, dude, no joke, man.
How did this come about? How did you link up with him?
There was this other project that's called, what is it called? Big Ol' Nasty Get Down. That's what it's called. It's this dude that I know in LA who like just brings kind of bands that he really likes together to kind of create something, you know, and like, you know, I'm going to get this guitar player from, you know, Bad Brains, and I'm going to get, you know, these guys from the Dap Kings. I don't think he worked with either of them, but I'm just saying. Yeah. I guess this is my version if I was going to do that. Yeah. But and bring them together. So he hit me up and he's like, can we give you a P-Funk song and have you do a remix of it? Where like, you know, you make it, you chop it, make it into a beat, and then put raps on it. I was like, definitely. So I did that. It was a 3-verse song. Then he hit me up later and he's like, all right, look, do you mind if we replace your middle verse with Gift of Gab? And I was like, no, I don't mind. I was like, well, actually, I'll tell you what, on one condition. You got to give me his number because I want to get verses from this dude. And so they're like, cool. So I was like, put me in touch with him, and sure. So, you know, of course, I would have let it happen anyway. It's Gift of Gab. But I got in touch with them, and, you know, I got one verse from the grown-up stuff I was working on at the time and one verse for the kid stuff I was working on at the time. We did like a little, you know.
Is the grown-up stuff out?
Yeah.
It is. I hadn't heard it.
Yeah. It's not on Spotify. I need to get it on Spotify, but I'll give you a copy of it.
All right.
Yeah.
Deal. That when I'm listening to your Kid Hop albums, there's a lot of it that could easily not be Kid Hop.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the aim.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, people that go to, I don't know if this is a great analogy, but, you know, kids' movies nowadays.
No, that's the perfect analogy. Pixar, all that stuff.
You got to make it good for adults, too.
Yeah, well, and there are things that transcend age, you know? Fear, love, being bullied, you know, your relationship to whatever the mystery is of like nature or magic or, you know, finding out who you truly are. You know, these are things that like we all deal with. And that's what I try to do is like try to find those things, those primary building blocks of life and make songs about them you know, so that, yeah, in one sense, this is for kids growing up to start to understand the depth of the swimming pool that they're swimming in, and to kind of how to navigate it. And then also for the parents to remember that. I think that parents kind of get reborn when they have kids. You know, it's like,
Definitely.
You're trying to teach your kids stuff, and you're trying to like break it down, and all of a sudden in the process of doing that, you become a kid again. You're like looking at, you know, a flower, or like, you know, showing somebody a cloud, and you're like, oh, look what it looks like. Or you're telling them a story, and like all of a sudden you feel like a kid again. Yeah. So like there's this specific audience that I'm kind of like, that I know is buying my music and coming to the shows and everything, where I'm like, your kids for the first time and your kids for the second time.
That's right.
You know, and so like these songs are kind of aimed, whether you've already had the experience of 30 years behind that thing of becoming a kid again or not, like it should be applicable.
I was listening to your record last night, and it's just like I was getting inspiration, and you know, it's like these are things I'm working on. You know,
Good.
As always,
We never stop.
never stop. And the also as a parent, you become a kid again, but it also brings up like wounds and so forth that you didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
But then, for at least for me with my son, it's like I start to remember things I have forgotten about
On purpose.
on purpose. Yeah. Or at least subconsciously pushed away.
Well, and that's, you know, that's the rational / magical thinking thing again, because it's like you can't dwell in things like nostalgia or daydreaming all the time. But if you don't dwell there sometimes, then you've, you know, sapped a lot of the color out of life. So it's kind of like figuring out the ratio, figuring out like how much can I think about my past? How much can I daydream about my future? And how much do I have to focus on what's happening right now? And like, you know, I love it. I'm such a sentimental cat. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about romanticizing all the time, because there's such like, when people hear that word, they think of the word romance, and like that's part of it. But to romanticize a thing is to look at a thing from a distance of some sort, and then to imbue it with like, you know, color and magic and story and beauty. You know what I mean? By its very definition, romanticizing something it's that distance you have from it that allows you to do it. When you have nostalgia for something, it wasn't that good when you were going through it, but you look back on it and you're like, oh, I remember that. Yeah. And like, that's a beautiful skill. You know, my wife and I were gone from each other a lot because I'm on tour a lot, and she goes and does retreats a lot.
We have a similar lifestyle.
And I've learned so much about romance / romanticizing from that, where I'm like, this is great. Like, I love having enough distance that I make our story into this like beautiful, perfect thing. And then we come back together and we're like, well, that's not really that, but it's nice to have the distance to make it into that.
I know exactly what your wife's yoga teacher, she's more than that. I don't know what people think about when you hear yoga teacher, but I do the same thing, you know. Right. She's a teacher, you know. She's a mystic, and she's a beautiful woman, and that's what I do. My wife's touring musician.
That's true. Flipsky.
Yeah, it's flipped. So we have a similar lifestyle. And
the space is beautiful. Like, you know, people are like, I remember we were hanging out with some friends when we were just on tour, and they're like, so is it hard, like, you know, being on the road all the time, being away from your family? Is that difficult for your family? You know? And I'm like, no, it's great for my family. Like, right. We're fresh to each other now.
That's right.
We get to come back with stories. They have stories. You know, we get to meet each other again. We get to have missed each other.
That's right.
I love missing her.
There's hard moments. Right. In the big picture, it's great.
That's what I'm saying. And like, you know, we have a whole life together. Like, we don't have to be, you know, joined at the hip all the time. I like that people go have their own story and then come back, you know.
She's got her art, you got your art.
Right.
And then occasionally they intertwine with each other.
Yeah, we talk about ourselves being binary stars, you know, because like we're each spinning our own thing, but we're orbiting around the same thing.
Yeah. What is Brooke Sullivan? It's your wife.
Bodhisattva,
a.k.a. Bodhisattva. People want to check her out. What is her? Wild Temple?
Yeah. Wild Temple. Let's see, Wild Temple and Sage Apprenticeship.
Yeah, she's a good teacher. She's a yogi. She does herbalism, and she's got her whole yoga. She's a good teacher, doing the real deal.
Yeah, thank you.
Stuff. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
it's herbalism, it's yoga, it's energy work, it's meditation, it's mantra, heavily mantra for sure. Yeah,
as I should be. Yeah. So, all right, so let's get the last chapter in before. I know we're skipping chapters here,
Okay.
but
That's cool.
So the Kid Hop aspect of this.
All right, so GFE had been touring for about 12 years, 13 years or something. And, you know, through all kinds of everything from hitchhiking to shows to, you know, being loaded up in vans to shows to finally getting to like doing tour buses and everything. And it was good, but then we had a moment where like we lost a couple of members, and especially one, the bass player, was just very elemental to the thing. And so all of a sudden we couldn't play shows. And whereas most bands, especially on that level of success, would have been like, all right, let's find another bass player and go. You know, we were like, that's not how we worked at all. Like when we started, like nobody even really hardly knew how to play instruments. Like it was more about, these are our group of friends and we're going to be a band, you know? So to then just go find a stranger and like try to inject them into that because I know how to play bass,
right,
just felt really foreign to us.
Especially considering how y'all's history, how you came together.
You know, it was never contrived in any way. So it took us like 6 months to even, you know, get ourselves around to that process of like, I guess we should start interviewing people. And in that 6 months for me, it was like a real rude awakening because I had just turned 30. You know, I had a 5-year-old daughter. And I was all of a sudden just like, oh my God, like this is like my only thing. And it's totally unstable. Like it's in the hands of 10 madmen. You know what I mean? Like we're a great group of friends, but take any 10 people that have an equal amount of decision-making power in an organization, which that organization will not move forward unless all 10 people are making those decisions. Like that's unstable.
Totally.
You know, that's very unstable for somebody who's like trying to raise a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So,
not to mention the long term. What's the chances of everybody getting along
exactly
for a long period of time? Even just how many like bands with just like 4 people can get along for a long? Like, there's only like 2 that's done it.
and our, you know, we were number one, very, very. At first, everybody had to agree on everything because that's kind of the rainbow method.
Right.
Then we, you know, switched to a democracy where it was like a voting thing. But, you know, it's funny because we were basically exactly like the founding fathers of this country in the sense that when we had something to work out, we got together, started popping beers, you know, and we like handled it that way.
Right.
Like we're big, loud, raucous group of people yelling at each other and then voting. Yeah.
Too bad none of it got filmed.
It's really too bad none of it got filmed. But yeah, you know, it was beautiful. It was awesome. It was unstable. Or I felt like it was unstable. And I was like, okay, I need to find a way to like take control of my own ship somehow. So I was like, I don't really know what to do. I was like, I have some solo albums out, but I've never really done solo shows like that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I'm going to book a solo show. So I booked a solo show, worked it out. And I remember it was miserable. It was like snowing and slushing outside, like, you know, when snow
You're
is
in
like
Asheville?
so yeah it was like that snow that's so wet that it just like hits you like a little snowball that somebody threw at you. Like, and so nobody's coming out. I'm sick, so I'm like drinking cough syrup on stage, you know.
Nice.
Not because it's the trend.
You're not sipping.
No. And just trying to get through it almost in the sense of like, well, I said to myself I was going to do this, so I'm going to do this, you know. And there was like a nobody there almost. There was probably like 10, 15 people there. One of them after the show comes up and is like, yo, I worked for a studio down in Atlanta where like you had mixed some of your solo records. I'm really a big fan of what you do. Like if you ever have anything to record, you know, I'd love to record you. And I was like, well, I got these kid songs I've been working on. Like,
because you had already had a kid at that point.
Yeah, she was like 5.
She was 5.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah,
and I'd heard on the radio and kind of like realized that there was this sort of emerging scene of family music happening that was like, you know, non-label, not contrived, not put together. By
what
something.
year are we in here?
Was that 2007?
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was aware of that happening, and I kind of
like Rainbow Gatherings late 90s.
Yeah.
So we're about a decade
late
later.
90s, early
and then
2000s.
GFE's going into early 2000s.
Yeah, GFE's like probably on the road like 97 through 2000, maybe like 7, something like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where, and that transitions into this.
That transitions.
At some point, you meet Brooke, you have a kid together, you're
Right.
becoming also a family.
That was right around the millennium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I met Brooke like right at the beginning of 2000.
I see.
Yeah. So that's happening. So I had these couple of kid songs that I had written, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, they were there. I thought they were good, but I was like not really putting too much energy behind them. And I was like, well, I got these couple of kid songs that I wrote. I was like, do you want to record that? And he's like, yep, I do. And I was like, okay, so you have like recording equipment and everything? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, okay, dude, well, when you have recording equipment, call me, you know? And he called me 2 days later. He's like, all right, I just got back from Atlanta. I borrowed everything. Let's do this.
Cool.
And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. So that began a process of recording that first family album.
What's that one called?
Easy.
Easy. I don't think I got that one.
Yeah, it's on there.
It's on iTunes. Yep.
Or is that iTunes?
I'm on iTunes.
It's on Spotify.
Spotify, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't fully transitioned over to streaming.
To the
yet.
beast.
I'm still spending all the money, you know?
Yeah. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
We love you for that. But yeah, so did that. And that was something that like, you know, it was kind of like my Hail Mary pass where I'm like, well, if I could do something with Saki and with Brooke, you know, then that would also solve the problem, not only of how do I pay for being able to support the family, but how do I get to hang out with them? Because the more that JFE was on the road, you know, the less that I got to hang out with them. I went on like a month-long tour when Saki was like 3 weeks old, you know, and it's tough. Like I was like, I'm not going to let having a kid stop my progress as a musician. Some people are like, I have to make a choice now. And I'm like, there's no choice. You know, that's who I am. And, you know, and Brooke knew that and was totally supportive of that the whole time too.
Did you ever lose confidence in that? Do you ever consider it like going some different direction?
There were moments for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I remember a great moment is right before I started like the kids music thing. Mm-hmm. You know, we own a house in North Carolina. We were like behind on mortgage payments. We already had to like refi our down payment to like, you know, at a bad rate too, to like get enough to make mortgage payments. And we were at the end of that. And I'm just like sitting on the porch and like, you know, I had like quit smoking for years, but I was like, went and got a pack and like lit up. And I'm just like sitting there just, you know, with this look, and Brooke can tell. And she comes out and she's like, what's up? And I was like, I don't know. I guess if I sell my studio, that'll get us like a month, maybe a month and a half. And she's like, you go in that studio and make us money, you know? And I was like, okay, you know? And so I went in and
that's dope.
You know, that's like, that's a story that when I tell other musicians, they're just like, you got to keep her. You got to keep her there with the bro. You know what I'm saying? Like there are not that many keepers in the world. That's and right. You found one, because most girls at that point would go, yeah, you should definitely sell that studio.
Right.
You know, you should have already done it. And like so many musicians have to deal with like in that starving artist phase, having a partner that doesn't support them. Right. And that crushes, because, you know, inspiration is like, it's a bubble, man. You touch it wrong and it pops. You know what I'm saying? It's a baby bird. Like you grab it and it's like, it's dead.
Right. And having the other, your, you know, whatever, your significant other, to have that support underneath, at least for me, and I can hear from you, gosh, does that free up creative energy like nothing else.
Having somebody believe in you who actually knows you. It's easy for people to believe in you if they don't know you that well, if they only know the persona. Right. But if they know like your good parts and your bad parts and your doubts and everything, and they're still like, no, you're good. Like, go do it. Yeah. That's really helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Lets you go into out of the rational into the magic.
It's true. Yeah. It's true because, you know, rationally, the person that you're trying to support is also on board with it. So that allows you to go, okay, well, I'm not being a dick by following my muse here. Because some people, it's true, some people follow their muse to the degree that they can't support their family. Right. And you can't, you know, it's funny because, you know, I see a lot of people in that position and I'm just like, yeah, I really, really, really support following your dreams, but not to that extent. Not to the expense of the people who you made vows to. You know, at that point, it's like, no, go get a job. And when you've worked your job to the degree that you have free time, then follow your dream in your free time. And hopefully
stay up all night after you get your job done. And
like many have done.
Like I did. And most people who really need to like break through, hustle. You got to hustle.
You got to, and you got to find a way to do both things, you know, because like in the same way as Rational Magical World, it's like, well, there's also like, you know, what's your actual needs and what are the needs of the people that you made vows to, you know, and you have to get that covered first. And then if that's a lot of reason why I ran away. Cause I'm like, you know what? If I don't have to pay rent and if I really don't have any bills at all, that leaves all day for me to do whatever I want. And like, that's fine if nobody's depending on you. You know, if that's your choice to like not have any overhead so that you have loads of free time so that you can work on your art, that's great. That's the classic starving artist thing. It's like, find a place where you pay $100 a month, eat almost nothing. You know, in your 20s, you can kind of live that way.
Have you had a sense of mission as you're going through this journey?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have, okay, so you're starting to launch, or it just kind of happens, it sounds semi-organically with you going into Kid Hop. But in general, with just your artistry, is there like clearly there's a sense of purpose.
Like a mission statement?
No, not necessarily like a mission statement. No, more like a personal sense of like, there's something I'm here that this is how I'm wired. You know, this is what I'm here to do. Yeah,
especially with the family music.
Yeah.
I don't know, like when I started like sinking into it, I just really all of a sudden realized like a lot of the things that I struggled with as far as being an MC beforehand, where it's like, all right, well, there's aspects in which I don't fit into the classic hip hop mold, right? Like I'm not even going to act like I'm like, hard, you know what I mean? Like that whole reality of like, and I'm not here to throw that shit under the bus either. It's like, if you are operating in a certain place with certain rules, then you better be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's not where I came from.
Right.
So I'm not going to act like it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was operating in a different world. The things in rap that I was attracted to is the rhythm and the storytelling and like the first person narrative and the strength and the power of it. You know what I mean? And the connecting with crowds and like, you know, being like the voice, being like the avatar for a crowd of people and what they were thinking and all that.
I love how that it started for you with African drums too. Yeah. Because that's where really, that's the roots of hip hop. That's the roots of music, really.
Yeah. Go back to like, you know, Lost Poets and stuff. Lost Poets, you know, Watts Prophets, all that stuff. Like, you know, anyway, but yeah, like, so I think a lot of it is, you know, you can be a powerful voice if you understand the community of people that you're speaking for, right? So when it was the traveling scene in the 90s, I knew exactly who I was speaking for and I knew who I was speaking to. When it was me, you know, as a parent, I also knew that. I was like, and it was even, you know, more visceral in a lot of ways because it's like, yeah, like all I want to do is hang out with my kid and make her happy. You know what I mean? All I want to do is tell stories to my kid. And like, now I can do this in a way that I'm like combining hip hop with that. And hip hop is a perfect storytelling form. And now I don't have to worry about the fact that like in the usual, you know, people are like, oh, you do hip hop? All right, well, you know, what battle stuff are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You rap about the coke and the guns and the bitches, you know, and it's like, I love Biggie as much as you do, but no, I don't. Right. You know what I mean? Because if I did, I would be lying.
Right.
And it's not that I care. It's not, you know, because again, getting back to like, this is positive, that's negative. It's like, if being aware of how you move forward within the community and the rules that you were given is positive, then what Biggie did is positive.
You didn't grow up in public housing in Bed-Stuy.
No. I didn't grow up in a situation where I had to become cold in order to advance.
That was where so much of the misunderstanding of hip hop came from, you know, whereas like we were all resonating with this music and there was such a, especially in the 90s. Have you watched that new HBO documentary, The Defiant Ones?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And where they're just trying to suppress the music, the, you know, whoever it was, government, people all over the place, parents, and just like, and it's understandable why, you know, why they were, you know, triggered by it.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, it was poison, and it came from a place that was filled with poison.
That's right.
And there's a reason that place is filled with poison. It's because people dumped it there.
That's right.
So to talk about it is to drain it.
It's
and
so much
if
lack
it drains
of
towards you, yeah, that sucks. But if you were one of the reasons it was getting put there, then maybe that's just chickens coming home to roost.
Well said.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a little bit of that in Snowfall too.
Snowfall.
You watching that?
Oh no, I haven't watched that. Yeah, that's John Singleton.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on FX.
I think it is, yeah.
I was going to end this with a speed round. One of my questions is like, what are you watching right now?
Yeah. Okay, what I'm watching right now, I'm really happy with some of the things that are out right now. Preacher. And American Gods.
American Gods. All right, we connected a little bit on that. Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I did the book. I tried to watch a little of the show, and I don't know, it wasn't great.
Not feeling it?
I just finished the book. I might need a little more space from the book before I can dump it.
That's my favorite book of all time.
Yeah.
It's affected my understanding of deities more than anything.
Really? American Gods.
100%.
I had to rap with you about that some other time.
Yeah.
And get your perspective on that.
Yeah, but that plays with that. It plays with the tropes of the masks that we put on the mystery, more than anything. And it's hilarious and it's deep and it's like makes you really think. And Preacher does that in the same way. Preacher's more more hardcore, but it's awesome.
All right. I'll have to check it.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, just taking a very quick break in our conversation to talk to you more about the Life Force Academy, the ultimate home Kundalini Yoga experience. I know some of you have heard about Kundalini Yoga, you've heard the buzz about it, but you've never actually tried it. Life Force Academy is an excellent way to give it a roll. Some of you have done other forms of yoga, but never tried Kundalini Yoga. It's real cool. And it's for anyone. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do or where you live or what your political persuasion is or what your religious persuasion is or anything like that. It's for just real human beings who want to live happily with good energy, clear-mindedness. You have to have clear-mindedness to have a happy life. Sense of purpose. Have to have a sense of purpose to have a fulfilling life. And that's what Life Force Academy is about, but by using your body, using your breath, using your mind, and using the incredible yogic teachings to have a life force condition, an internal environment that yields happiness, that yields a sense of real love, that yields a sense of purpose in you. Because that is innate into the human being already. But sometimes it's like we have like a short circuit in the system, and there's a depression that sets in, there's a blown fuse, and we're chronically angry or jealous or envious or insecure. So you just use the system, push this lever that way, so to speak, push this lever this way, inhale deep, do the exercises, use the meditations, and everything comes back into balance. Recalibrate, reboot the system. It's like, this is what I'm about. This is what life is about. You feel reconnected to yourself, to what you really are, to what love really is. That's what the Life Force Academy is very much about. Check it out. 14-day trial as a listener of this podcast for just $1. If you go to lifeforce.yoga, just type that into your browser, lifeforce.yoga. to begin a 14-day trial for just $1 into the Life Force Academy. And if you get in there and you love it, which I think you will, then it's only $25 per month after that. And that's costs well under what it would cost you to take just 2 yoga classes at any local yoga studio. And there's so much for you to use in the Life Force Academy from anywhere in the world, anytime you wish. And if you get in there and it's not for you, you can cancel anytime. Very easy, very simple to use. Really cool experience. Just go to lifeforce.yoga to begin your 14-day $1 trial into the Life Force Academy. Now back to my conversation with Cactus. Okay, so your daughter was 5, put out the first album. Then, like, as she's growing up, you keep dropping Kid Hop albums.
Yeah, because like I instantly got more traction than I ever had. Like, we put out the first album, and I got a publicist for the first time ever. And as we're beginning the publicity campaign, one of the songs goes #1 on Sirius XM, and I was like, oh man. You know what I mean? Because like part of my angle going into it too is like, you know, there was a rational angle going in as well, which was there's this whole scene developing, which is kind of like, you know, authentic musicians who use whatever their genre is to make music that is applicable for families that doesn't talk down to them. And I was like, and nobody's doing it with hip hop, which I understand why. It's like, it's not, you know, most cats, when I talk about like cats like being hard or being, you know, feeling like they want to maintain that certain image, it's like, to then talk to kids it's like that destroys the whole image they're trying to create.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that image, so I didn't have to worry about destroying it. So to me, I was like, dude, I'm a psychedelic storyteller.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Right.
And I do it with hip hop, and I can freestyle my ass off.
Yeah.
So like to then go and like make CDs for kids, I'm like, this does not, this doesn't damage my brand at all.
No.
I'm like, I'm going to tell psychedelic stories to kids now.
Well, I was talking to a mutual friend of ours recently, and your name came up. We were just talking music, and you're a real MC. It doesn't matter if you're doing, and hip hop people, that's about as high a praise as you can get in the hip hop. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're doing kid hop. I wouldn't think of it. I understand, you know who you're talking to, and you know how you push your thing and kid hop.
And also, like, to me, there's always that thing of like, like wine lovers, bad wine is not okay. And it's the same with hip hop.
Oh,
it's like
definitely.
Whack rhymes are not okay. And
we will call you out. Yeah,
call you out, and it should be that way. And
No doubt.
like with me, like while I'm making this kids music, I'm also being like making sure that my bars are correct and putting like quadrisyllabic things in there so that like if an MC's listening and wants to hate it, they're like, all right, that was a pretty good rhyme though. Shit.
I wish the yoga community was actually a little more like that, because it's like
That's true.
It's hard to call like out like a whack teacher. That's
well,
like
it progresses though. Like I've seen it in the family music scene, because also with family music, because it's supposed to be about inclusiveness and kindness and all that. Like it's hard to call out a whack family musician, but it's like things do self-sort. It's like you get certain gigs when you're good.
That's right. That's it. And it's not necessary to call it out. And hip hop is part of the culture.
Right.
That's true. But I do think there is a usefulness of it. Obviously we would use different semantics. We're going to say, call out a whack yoga teacher. You know what I mean?
No, but you can speak up.
Critique.
Yeah. And
critique should be real and genuine, because I look in like magazines barely exist anymore, but I would like go to I used to love reading like the reviews in Rolling Stone for the albums and movies. I still do, actually. Still subscribe to Rolling Stone. Still get the hard copy, whatever it's called. But you go to like a yoga magazine, for instance. That's my critique of the yoga in this country and the modern world in general, is just so infused with fluffiness. That's not what yoga is about at all. It's penetrating.
Maybe part of that is just what's going on, with the time too, because there's a lot of terrible hip hop out right now that's not getting called out. Yeah. Except for by older cats, who then the younger cats are like, man, shut up, old man. You understand? I'm like, they're not even rhyming.
Right. So it's like,
but you also can't fall in the other side of that, because there's a lot of new stuff coming out that's very foreign to like what my style is, and I have to open up my ears and be like, that is dope though.
Yeah. Well, you and I have talked about Kendrick.
Right.
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick is the best of all worlds.
Carrying the torch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrying the torch, and can do, like, he's one of those people who like, he can do the turned up thing if he wants to. He can do the hada, like, because he can do anything. Like Jay-Z couldn't come out with a turned up thing right now. He just came out with an album and it's fantastic. Yeah. And everybody's being like, nah, it's old man rap. And it's like, but somebody like Kendrick, like, he absolutely bridges all worlds.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in mid 90s, I kind of was on my like hip hop high horse, and like, so I turned my
everyone wasn't then.
Yeah. I turned my nose away from like Jay-Z and stuff. It wasn't until, really last 10 years or so to where I was like, oh, he's a real MC, and it's beautiful art, Well,
it's different. I've been realizing lately, like, there's a time in your life when what you like artistically, musically, all that, the reason you like it is because you're trying to figure out what your identity is. So you have to go, I like this because that's what I think I want to be, and I don't like that because I don't want to be that.
Well said.
Then later on, when you figure out who you are, you can go, I don't want to be that, but it's fantastic. Yeah. It's really good art. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'll drive around all day and bump it. I'll watch that movie. I'll read that book. I'm like, no, I'm not that. Yeah. But it's great to, experience it.
Did you read his book, Jay-Z? Decoded?
Yeah,
it's good.
Is it good?
Yeah, I got it right there.
You read RZA's book?
I haven't, no.
You should check that too.
All right, I will. Yeah. I read Commons. I love that book.
You had one.
Yeah, One Day It'll All Make Sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would read that.
Yeah, I got it. Take anyone you want.
Sweet.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to take you up on that.
All right, good. Cool, man. Well, I got one more question. At least one more, but we'll wrap it up here.
Sure.
What was the craziest thing you saw at the Grammys? Or the coolest thing you saw at the Grammys? Anything interesting? Give us something.
The coolest thing I saw at the Grammys was my name come up when they're like...
No doubt. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
We were so happy for you.
Yeah, I was really stoked, man. I was really stoked. And one of the main things I was really stoked on was, because, I got nominated for the other album. Mm-hmm. So I went down and did the whole rigmarole before. Yeah. And I was just total stress ball the whole time. And it's one of those things where, like, I can kind of enjoy it in retrospect when I'm able to, romanticize it. But I was like, I remember that whole time sucked, And, like, this time I was like, all right, I'm not going to do that again. Mm-hmm. I'm going to find a way to, like, enjoy the situation and really be there. Yeah. And, like, that was the best part was, like, I was down there with Saki. I was down there with friends of mine.
Saki's your daughter.
Saki's my daughter. Mm-hmm. She was 15 at the time. Mm-hmm. And that's 10 years after we started the mission. Mm-hmm. 10 years ago, we were like, okay, let's do this thing. And she did, she was on the road with us a lot. She did loads of tour from when she was 6 to when she was like 10, all over the place.
Has she gotten to the point where she's like, she's a teenager now. How old is she right now?
Today's her 16th birthday.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Amazing. Is she to the point where, is she still doing it with you some?
She still does. I mean, it's interesting, right? I went to...
Because, like, how cool are you to her now? Like,
I mean, it's funny because I'm still dad, but she can't get around the fact that her friends think I'm cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I was, when she was in 8th grade, we got nominated.
That Grammy helped, I bet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we got nominated in 8th grade, and then we moved to a new school, high school, and I'm like, oh, man, like, I lost all the credit. It's a new school. And then it's like, then I won one, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not a type of person, like, Grammy, like, somebody wins a Grammy. That doesn't, like, I already knew how dope you were before the Grammy. Yeah. But I was so happy for you.
A Grammy is a golden crowbar to be able to go to doors that were closed before that and be like, you know what I mean? That's the whole point. Like, that is a thing that now if I go and say, hey, I have this idea and I think it's going to be really good, then people look at me and they don't go, who's this weird, white 40-year-old who thinks he's a rapper? Yeah. Now I'm like, no, would you care to see the Grammy? All right, now that that's over with, can we have a real conversation? You know what I mean?
Well, do you think the Staples Center is too big of a place for that event?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
watch it on TV, it just seems like
that event's just, it's a lot. It's a money-making enterprise. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I prefer like the Academy Awards over the Oscars.
Like the show itself.
Over the Grammys.
I find the shows to be kind of boring.
Yeah.
Although I'm really, really, really stoked that, the same day I won a Grammy, I got to see Tribe Called Quest for the first time.
That's right. That was the right year to be there.
Yeah. That was good. Because honestly, the other year when we got nominated, I was like, it's nice to have good seats to this show, but this show is boring.
Yeah, the vast majority of it.
There was no rap in it at all, really. Like, I mean, there was Common did the thing with
John Legend.
With Glory.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, for the most part, I was just like, if Sia is the thing I'm most excited about at this show.
That's the wrong show.
Then what the hell?
Yeah. You DVR it and fast forward 90%.
Right. Yeah. But, this one was pretty cool. There was some good stuff. I mean, yeah, the whole thing itself, it's like, it is kind of silly. Like, when it was all said and done, there was like these big parties and everybody was there. And I was like, I don't even want to be here. And like, the only beer they had was Budweiser for some reason. And I was like, dude, all I really want is to go drink good beer right now and just celebrate by myself. I was like, I know there's a bunch of people here that want to congratulate or whatever. And Saki was all of a sudden like, I have a little bit of a headache. I'm like, oh, you do? Let's go. And we dipped out. And it was funny because like, I knew there was a huge star-studded glamorous party like over here, like a block away from where we were staying. And I'm just like chilling in, this little apartment drinking like a Stella, just like, I'm done. I did my part. I did the thing that I wanted to do. Like, I don't really care about all that. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's easy to say that, but for me, like a lot of this was, I just need to legitimize this thing that I know is awesome in the eyes of people who are, distracted by shiny things. Because there's a lot of shiny things in the world right now.
Yeah.
So if I need a shiny thing to show you that, then I'm going to go get one. And now that I have it, now that you're looking in this direction,
rational mind.
Now that the rational mind is looking over here, let me open you up to the magical stuff.
That's right.
That's actually in here. We're working on some cool projects right now. Like, you want to hear about it?
Yes, I do.
All right. Yeah. So this is a real cool thing. So The Imaginary Friend. Yeah, maybe we want to play
hear
that
it?
track.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, play a little of that.
That's
track
on
real quick.
which album's that?
That's on Perfect Cork.
Perfect Court.
This is for all your earth lovers. Now you see, now you don't. Strange land, oh my imaginary friend says I'm the imaginary friend, which means I'm imaginary then. If he's right and I'm really not sure that he's wrong, so I might be made up like the words to this song. My imaginary friend says I'm the imaginary friend, which means I'm imaginary then. If he's right and I'm really not sure that he's wrong, so I might be made up like the words of this song. I got a friend named Pickles. His favorite food is mustard popsicles. He's got green hair and orange skin, and nobody has fun more than him. He's the sort of friend nobody can see, nobody but me. You're like, what do you mean? He's imaginary, invisible, but he's never scary. Nah, he's really cool. He's silly too. He's an acrobat. He does backflips while we play hacky sack. Nobody fast as us when we run in races, but he cracks me up, making funny faces. It gets on my nerves when he's sitting in a chair and people sit on him like Pickles isn't there. Come on, he's real, just like me. Only one thing on which we disagree. My imaginary friend says I'm the imaginary friend, which means I'm imaginary then. If he's right and I'm really not sure that he's wrong, so I might be made up like the words to this song. My imaginary friend says I'm the imaginary friend, which means I'm imaginary then. If he's right and I'm really not sure that he's wrong, so I might be made up like the words.
Psychedelic storytelling.
Exactly.
Dope. Yeah, so what's up with this?
So that got a lot of radio play, and this actor Jeremy Renner,
Radio playing like what kind of
Sirius XM.
That's like kids channel?
Yeah.
Oh, dope.
But it's like that gets a lot of play with people who have kids. And so so the actor Jeremy Renner, who's like in Avengers and all that stuff, heard it, and they hit me up and they're like, we want to option this as a full-length film.
Really?
What do you think of that? You know, and I was like, yes.
Yes, please.
And was like, oh, why are they not just doing a movie about an imaginary friend and never talking to me? Like, why am I even involved with this? You know? And so I was like, I need to get in this. I need to get to become a part of this, you know? And so they're like, we're going to have a brainstorm meeting on like how to expand this into like a full length plot. Do you want to be part of that? And I was like, yeah. So I really thought about like, what's this about? And what I came to was like, all right, when you're young, you have imaginary friends because you believe in, you know, wonder and beauty and awe. And that's kind of like where your mind is. And then as you get older, you try to suppress all that because you think you have to, you know, rational mind. You think you have to grow up. And so, but you can't suppress that stuff because it's too strong. And so it comes back in the form of anxiety and depression and fear because you're still imagining things. You're just imagining how they could go wrong.
That's right.
So that's kind of the central aspect of the story. And because they really dug that. And then they got like a good script writer and he expanded it and all that. And so, you know, I was still like really loving where the plot's going. And then, so recently I was like, yo, Hamilton is the shit. And, you know, Lin.
Have you been?
No, I wish.
Neither.
Yeah. And Lin-Manuel, you know, wrote some songs for Moana.
Yep.
And that did real well. I was like, you should let me write a bunch of songs for this. The characters should rap. And so for the past 3 days, that's what I've been doing. They're like, you know, we were actually kind of thinking the same thing, but can you show us some roughs or something?
Yeah.
So I came up with 5 songs and like, it's just great. Like the hook there, that's Pickles the Pirate. And I've done like now whole rap songs in that voice,
really?
You know, and is
this thing a go?
I mean, no, not yet. It's that I have these 5 songs that will be done Monday. Really? And then I'll show it to them and then we'll see.
Wow.
But like, I'll say that I swung for the fences, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're like, can you do some roughs? By which I'm sure they think, you know, like a beat with me rapping or something. And I got like a 9-person band, including Michael Bublé's horn section. Wow. And like made these songs just in the terms of like.
Locally here?
Nah, like Asheville's where I do everything. But, yeah, but you know, it's like I put as much into these songs as I would into like an album song. Because I'm like, I want to show you that I can make, I can sonically create what that world is. The whole imaginary world of this weird like pirate thing that is in this kid's imagination. And then like the villain, which is like the personification of all anxiety and dread. Like we made that song. And I like made up voices for them because like my whole point is I'm swinging for the fences in the terms of like I don't want them to just go, yeah, we need these songs. I want them to go, and you need to be the voice of these characters. You know,
that's right.
Because that's what I'm saying with the Golden Crowbar. Like you can crack the door open with it.
Yeah.
Then it's up to you.
Yeah, man.
You know, so I'm trying to crack some doors open and then like really get in there. You know,
that's so good.
Yeah,
and we need that movie. We need that.
I'm telling you, a good like family like Pixar movie. You walk away from like. I understand more about life now.
That's right.
Like that's what Inside Out did.
Inside Out. Oh yeah, that's right. Inside Out. There's been so many good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And so you got that coming. New album in the works.
New album in the works. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be about dreams.
So now that your daughter is 16, I was just going to get to earlier. Now, are you writing more for teenagers, or is it?
No, you can't.
You can't.
There was a point, and it was really that album is the Imaginary Friend album. Like, that was when I got to the point where I'm like, I can't follow her anymore.
Her trajectory, right?
Yeah, I have to figure out a different way. And
she grew out of your market.
Yeah, she grew out of my market. And like the albums grew up with her where like Easy is a lot more elementary and then like it gets more complex as it goes.
That's really cool though for parents.
Yeah.
With children.
It's like a Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, you have a whole trajectory of albums that are actually kind of more ideal for the age that they're at that period of time.
Right. And it should really fit from between like 3 to like maybe 12 or 13, depending on how cynical your kid is. You know?
Right. Yeah, I'm right at
depending on if they're coastal.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
We're also like, you know, my wife and I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for a long time. So I'm just glad that we were able to just do this in this way.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I suppose there's one way to romanticize something, which is like nostalgia, and then there's another way to romanticize something where it makes sense as your origin story, and it like it's like a battery of energy that now can push you forward. You know, it's like you can understand your past in this way, or you can understand it in that way. And I know because one time I like really fell into doubt, and I like reimagined my entire story, and I was like, oh man, all those times that I thought I was doing something great, I was actually fucking up, and like now I'm here left in this position because I fucked up my whole life. You know, and like it was the same elements, the same plot elements, but I just saw them from a different perspective. And then I had to go back later and be like, no, let's reshuffle those cards again and be like, no, you may not have always done the right thing. You may not have always made the smartest move, but you know, this series of things did lead you to this place with this skill set that now, you know, you can move forward with and do something with.
And what do you think gave you the capacity to reorient yourself that way? Because it sounds easy enough to do, but you know, not everybody has.
It's weird. Do you know? I listened to this. Am I going long?
No, we're good.
You don't mind?
Yeah.
All right. I listened to this thing. NPR had a neurologist on there called David Eagleman. He's kind of like their go-to neurologist, and he broke down the way that memories work. Right. So memories are actually physical things that exist in your mind. Every time you go in and remember something, you actually take it apart and put it back together again. And the more times that you take it apart and put it back together again, the more it's distorted and warped and mutated. So the example that he gave was if you met a girl and then you both kissed each other and then you got on a train and left and then you saw the girl 10 years later, or if you met a girl, gave her a kiss, y'all fell in love, y'all got married, and 10 years later, you had thought of that kiss 1,000,000 times, the guy on the train would have a better, more accurate memory of that kiss than the one who that kiss started their whole relationship. Because there'd been so many more times you've unpacked it and repacked it and unpacked it and repacked it, right?
Right.
And then that got me thinking of like, well, our memories are the basis of our identity, right? So when we go and we unpack and repack, what is it that we're repacking them with? Because whatever we repack them with is what becomes the basis of who we are. So if you're depressed and you go back through all the, you know, the memories of your life, you're packing the depression into every one of them.
Yeah.
And then when you think of who you are that depression now. And you always have been. Even though you really weren't, you packed it all the way back to your origin. So I think I knew that. And I was like, I need to go repack everything.
Yeah.
I need to go pack joy back into it. I need to go pack belief in myself back into it, because you can't really move forward from an origin story of I'm an asshole. You know, you have to move forward with the origin story of like, I was always meant for this, you know, and all this crazy, you know, crooked path stuff was meant to lead to this happy ending.
And that required your magical mind.
Right.
And that's why I think you're able to do that.
Right.
It's because you've, throughout your entire life and adult life, have continued to nurture that part of your psyche, that part of, and so many people don't. And therefore, if you haven't done that and you don't have a relationship to that part of the mind, how do you go back and reorient and recontextualize your story to where it's like, oh, that's what's going on.
That's true.
It's
it. Funny. It's like, I don't know where that comes from, and I don't know how to get it if you don't have it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get it back if you lost it.
Yeah.
I know I've done that,
yeah.
But I can't even say how.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of it is like, I think if your magical shit goes away, you can get it back with your rational shit. Like, I think in a way it's like, all right, you know, the magic is gone. I need to do the right moves that I know are the right moves, because I can remember what the right moves were before. And I need to kind of like walk up that mountain to find where it went. You know what I mean? Like, I feel in a lot of ways like, you know what the right motions are, and you have to force yourself to go through them to get it back. It doesn't sound right when you say it, and there's probably some element missing of what I'm saying, but I know that for me, a lot of it was that. Like, a lot of it was like, when the magic left and everything looked colorless, I was like, I still need to make albums, though. Yeah. I still need to, like, make music. I still need to play shows. I still need to, like, you know, take walks. I still need to have conversations. I still need to do those things that I used to like doing. The
rational things that take you back to
right.
Yeah.
Or the rational move is to make you go through the absurd things that the magical mind is supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, most of what we do as inspired or mystical or in love creatures is pretty absurd in the face of rationality.
Right.
But what can make you do that? You know what I mean? Either the thing itself, which is love, or the memory of it. And if love leaves, then sometimes you have to use the memory of love to start it like a battery, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes think it's like you have a kid, I have a kid, and anytime like you want to like bring up the feeling of love, you just can use like think of your kid, you know, and there. That's
why people have the pictures on the desk, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful, man. I think it's perfect ending point. It's what we're the balance, you know, of that magical and rational. Like that's what you're restoring the balance, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the mission is, isn't it?
That is the whole thing, man.
It's what you're doing. It's what your wife's doing. It's what I'm doing.
Because the magical's gotten jacked by like advertisers and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Got to get it back to the real.
Right.
Yeah.
Word up, man.
I got one song that'd be good to go out on. This is one I got to make with the whole orchestra.
This is what you're with the Asheville Orchestra. Yeah. People should check out that video on YouTube too.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, this one was cool, man. This is it was the honor to be able to produce cats that have been playing classical music for like 20 years, you know. It's like, and then you get me coming in. I don't even have any musical theory, you know, and I'm just like, you know, you gotta make the trombone like blomp harder. Can you make it blomp harder? Come on, man, you know, bump the skank and make it blomp harder. And they're like, all right, dude.
And you had a DJ in there too, cutting.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's 23 Skidoo with Orion Weiss. Asheville Symphony making it sound nice. And Marley Carroll cuts precise. Now say, I am the Mozartistic.
I am the Mozartistic.
Yeah, I am the Mozartistic.
I am the Mozartistic.
Yo, His name is Wolfgang Amadeus. Yeah, Mozart, you know, he's kinda famous, one of the greatest. The kid broke the mold, wrote his first 5 works when he's 5 years old. His dad Leopold was a tight violinist, but when son played, it took him like 5 minutes to distinguish. The kid was probably a prodigy, quite the oddity, writing songs like Odyssey, high quality. What's the next step? Take the show on the road to expose the best yet. Word up, they rocked the tour through Europe. Music so pure, but cured like cough syrup. Served up symphonies like a chef. A battle competition till there's no one left. Now take a deep breath and feel the inspiration. The 7-year-old cold rock the whole nation. Yeah, so what you gonna do? Check it. I am the Mozartistic.
I am the Mozartistic.
Say it. I am the Mozartistic.
I am the Mozartistic.
Yeah. Who is the Mozartistic?
I am the Mozartistic.
Yeah, you are. I am the Mozartistic. The kid was gifted, even his critics had to admit it. No gimmicks, exhibits of his skills left him lifted. The crowd's going wild like it's rock and roll as he took piano keys and unlocked their souls. But young prototypes don't happen overnight. You know I'm right, man, he kept his focus tight. How much practice, how many months spent at this? Mastering the classics to accurately blast it. You're not a prodigy if you don't try hard, but if you do, they applaud like, oh my God. What's in your own heart that you could go start? Rock until your skills get sharp like Mozart. So mark my words in this song you heard. One of you might be the best on this earth. What's your masterpiece? What's your specialty? Focus your energy, find your destiny. Yeah, cause that's the recipe.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. I really enjoyed that conversation with Cactus, and I have a sense that you're going to hear him again on future episodes. We could talk about a lot of things for a long time, and I'm sure we will. Again, please go to his website, get his music, Secret Agent 23 Skidoo. Google that, or type secretagent23skidoo.com into your browser. Support the artist, figure out where he's touring. Is he coming near you? If you got kids, you gotta go. Grammy Award winning family hip hop. They are amazing. They put on a great show. I've been many times. You'll love it. So definitely buy his music wherever it is that you get music, or stream them on Spotify, whatever it is that you do. Secretagent23skidoo.com. That's 23, the numbers, everything else spelled out, and Skidoo, Skidoo. If you didn't know how to spell Skidoo already. That's the episode, friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast. Please give us a rating and a review. We would love that in the Apple Podcast app, or wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. That would really help us out, especially as we're just getting rolling here with the Jai Dave Show. Really appreciate you listening, and we got some great episodes coming to you very soon.